I don't know your relationship with them, but you were at the time when the Kliq was evolving within pro wrestling. How did the Kliq treat you?
I always got along with them. I got along with everybody. But at the same time, I did harbor at that time some bitterness towards them because they were getting all the opportunities. They had all the power. They had Vince's ear. And my response back then was to be bitter and angry. And I'm sure I even complained about it a bit in front of some other people, maybe, or other wrestlers, and which probably wasn't good for me as well. But uh, I never had problems personally with them. I used to go out to the bars and party with them. Like Lord knows, I carried Shawn out of a few bars, and me and Scott Hall partied many times till the sunlight came up. But they would go out and party with me, but they wouldn't necessarily do business with me. They wouldn't wrestle me.
Were you around the time when Michaels got beat up by those Marines in the bar? So we had Shane Douglas in a while ago, and he tells a story like he just didn't even believe it. He says it was a bunch of bullshit. What do you know about that situation? What did you hear within the locker room?
Well, depending on who it was, you got a different story. Like the people that were really bitter and hated the Kliq, they would come up with all kinds of stories that they thought happened. I actually sat down right after it happened. I was sitting at a table. I think it was like we were eating before the show at catering, and it was me and Kevin Nash and Shawn, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. And we were sitting there, and Shawn was kind of just telling, he was talking to Kevin about it, but also me. I was sitting there, and I remember looking at him because there was a few times I got him out of situations like that in bars where he would be fucking with people and pissing them off.
Right.
And I remember telling him, I go, well, if I was on that loop with you, it wouldn't have happened. Now I don't know if that's the case or not, but
No,
they were
I
telling
tend
us.
to agree with you. By the way, I would think it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was with the kid and Davy Boy, who were supposedly there when it happened, or what happened with that. I don't know, but I know the story is they kept saying it was like 9 guys or 6 guys or something, and but I could very well see it happening because I saw him try to pick a fight with like 6 guys one time in a bar when I was there, and I kind of dragged us all out of there as quick as I could, but I don't know the real story, maybe necessarily. I think it's maybe somewhere in the middle of what happened, really, or maybe it wasn't 9 guys. Some people say it was only a couple of guys. I don't know.
If you ask Shane Douglas, he said it was like one guy, and he was like 4'8". Just
But Shane doesn't like Shawn either because the Kliq really did him dirty.
do you think they did him dirty?
Yeah, yeah,
How come?
because he was a great talent and a great wrestler, and he could have done great things at that company. It's just he was dead in the water before he even got started because he rubbed somebody the wrong way, like one of the Kliq boys or something.
I mean, when we had Scott Hall in, Scott wasn't very complimentary of him. He said he was heard all these great things about him, but he was small and he was slow and he
That's
really couldn't
revisionist
wrestle.
history, though. It's when the guy came in, certain people were all excited about working with him because he is a talent. He was great,
Yeah.
a great wrestler, and still is, I'm sure. But things went the way they did, and everybody creates their narrative later on as to why it happened. And a lot of times people will say things that justify their position. So, but I believe the truth is probably somewhere in the middle there.
Right, yeah.
But I do know Shane came in, and there was a lot of potential opportunities for him to work with a lot of the top guys, and I don't know, something happened, and he rubbed somebody the wrong way. Like he didn't jump into their reindeer games or something right away, and maybe they just were turned off to him, and from that point you're done. Back then you'd be done because they would. I mean, I've even heard him say they would tell Vince to starve people, which means you're hardly ever booked, you're not getting paid, and that happened. I saw
Wow.
that. I mean, hell, I think it even happened with me, which I don't know why, because I wasn't a threat to any of them. I was nowhere near them on the card, but I do know, when Shane Douglas came in, everybody knew he was a good worker, great worker.
So that goes back to my original question, then, right? It's like you forgive, you don't harbor that pain, but think about it. You're a huge guy, right? You had a good-looking guy, right? Probably they could have done maybe a better gimmick with you, but I thought the gimmick was fine. You also now have relationship. You just said you've dragged them out of bars. You've ate at catering with them. And then you hear that they're stomping you out. I mean, how do you forgive that? I mean, a potential million dollar career
Well,
destroyed by four guys.
just because things went a certain way and I think maybe something happened doesn't mean it necessarily did happen. But even if it did, one big thing that I realized as I look back on the years that I was there, and the things that happened to me and the things I went through, again, a lot of it was of my own doing, and I realize now that no matter what's going on or how bad things can seem, there are certain things you can do to get yourself over.